I woke up early, packed one bag, and left her the keys. She thought it was just another Tuesday morning. By the time she poured her coffee, I was already crossing state lines with a new name and no intention of ever coming back. 20 years of marriage. Gone before sunrise. My name is Jonathan Hayes. I'm 47 years old, and this is the story of how I walked away from a 20-year marriage where I was never really present to begin with. People always ask what the final straw was. Honestly, there wasn't one. It was 2 decades of paper cuts. Rachel introducing me at parties as just a financial analyst with that dismissive little laugh. Her business partner Brad showing up at our house 3 nights a week for strategy sessions that always involved wine and her locking the office door. The way she'd edit me out of stories at dinner, like I was a prop she forgot to return. Our kids got the best of me. Asher was 21, studying mechanical engineering. Madison was 19, pre-med. Both smart, both kind, both far enough away at college that they didn't have to watch their mother treat their father like furniture. I'd paid their tuition in full 2 years ago. Every semester, every dollar. Rachel thought we were on payment plans. She never asked. The planning took me 16 months. Started with insomnia and internet searches at 3 in the morning. Found forums where men talked about starting over. I learned how to move money in small increments, how to establish a new identity, how to disappear without leaving breadcrumbs. Every withdrawal was masked by Rachel's shopping habits. Every document was filed in places she'd never think to look. 3 months ago, I paid off the house. Transferred the deed entirely into her name. Cost me $200,000 from accounts she didn't know existed. She complained that same week that I never did anything significant. I woke up at 4:30 that Tuesday morning. Rachel was asleep, facing away from me like she had been for years. I'd packed one duffel bag the night before, hidden in the garage behind the Christmas decorations she made me haul down every November. I dressed in the dark. Jeans, boots, a flannel shirt I bought with cash at a thrift store 2 towns over. Nothing from my old life. I walked through the house one last time, memorizing it like a crime scene. Left the keys on the kitchen island. House, both cars, safety deposit box. Arranged them in a neat line, because even leaving, I couldn't help being precise. My wedding ring went under the ceramic sugar bowl, the one her mother gave us that Rachel pretended to love. No. She'd tell everyone I couldn't even write goodbye. Fine. Let her have that story. The coffee maker was programmed. She'd wake up to the smell, pour her cup, maybe wonder where I was. Maybe not. By the time she figured out those keys weren't just misplaced, I was already crossing into New Mexico, heading for a garage in Arizona, where a man named Kyle Anderson had a job waiting. The truck I bought 3 months earlier was parked 2 streets over. A 2015 Ford F-150, paid in cash from a guy in Tucson who didn't ask questions. No GPS, registration under a name that would lead nowhere. I practiced the signature 50 times until it looked natural. Kyle Anderson. Sounded like someone who worked with his hands, someone who didn't overthink everything, someone who wasn't me. I drove for 6 hours straight, stopping only for gas paid with prepaid cards I'd been loading for months. Every card bought at different stores, different times. Left my old phone in a rest stop bathroom trash can, watched it disappear under paper towels, and didn't feel a thing. The Arizona border felt like a finish line. I pulled over at a scenic overlook, stood there in the wind, and just breathed. Deep, full breaths that didn't have Rachel's voice cutting through them. No, Jonathan. Did you remember to? No, Jonathan. Why can't you? Just wind and silence and freedom. Jake had connected me with a guy named Hank who ran a small motorcycle repair shop outside Tucson. Place was struggling, needed someone who could handle the business side. I'd sent Hank my Kyle Anderson, resumed 2 months ago. Former accountant, burned out, looking for a fresh start working with his hands. He called back within a week. You know bikes? Hank had asked. I'm a fast learner, I told him. Good enough. Pay's not great, but it's honest work. Honest work. I'd smiled at that. Hadn't done anything dishonest in 20 years. And look where it got me. The shop was exactly what I needed. Small, dusty, filled with the smell of oil and metal. Hank was 65, gray-bearded, built like he'd been wrestling engines his whole life. He looked at me when I walked in that first afternoon and nodded once. Kyle Anderson? He asked. That's me, I said. The lie came out smooth as truth. You look like a man running from something. I met his eyes. Or running towards something. He grunted, handed me a wrench. Either way, these carburetors need cleaning. Let's see what you got. I'd never cleaned a carburetor in my life, but I'd rebuilt complex financial models, and mechanisms were mechanisms. I studied it, took it apart piece by piece, laid everything out in order. Hank watched without commenting. 2 hours later, I had it back together. Hank tested it, and the engine purred. "Ah," he said, "you'll do." That night, I rented a room above the shop. Bare walls, a mattress on the floor, a hot plate, and a window that looked out over desert that stretched forever. I sat there as the sun went down, eating gas station food, and didn't think about Rachel once. For the first time in 20 years, I felt like I could breathe. Rachel woke up at 8:15. Late for her, but she'd stayed up past midnight scrolling through her phone, probably texting Brad about their next business meeting. She padded down the hallway in her silk robe, the expensive one I'd bought her for Christmas that she'd called adequate. No smell of coffee brewing. Strange. Jonathan always had it ready. "Jonathan," she called out. Nothing. She walked into the kitchen, annoyed already. The coffee maker was full but cold. He must have forgotten to turn it on. Typical. She reached for the cabinet, and that's when she saw them. Keys. All of them. Lined up on the granite island like soldiers at attention. House keys, car keys, the keys to the safety deposit box of the bank. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up the car key fob. Both cars. He'd left keys to both cars. She opened the garage. Her Mercedes sat there gleaming. Jonathan's Lexus sat beside it. Both cars. No Jonathan. "What the hell?" she muttered, walking back inside. She grabbed her phone, dialed his number. Straight to a generic voicemail. Not even his voice anymore, just the automated message. She tried again. Same result. That's when she noticed the sugar bowl. Something underneath it. She lifted the ceramic container, and there it was. His wedding ring. Simple gold band, worn smooth from 20 years of wear. Sitting there like evidence. Rachel's breath caught. This wasn't him running late to work. This was something else. She called his office. His assistant Jennifer answered on the second ring. "Hi, Rachel. What can I do for you?" Jennifer said, her voice professionally pleasant. "Is Jonathan there?" Rachel asked, trying to sound casual. "Oh no. He filed for a leave of absence 3 weeks ago. Said he needed some personal time. I thought you knew." Rachel's grip tightened on the phone. "Right. Yes. I forgot. How long did he say?" He was pretty vague about it. Just said he'd be in touch. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine." Rachel lied. "Thanks, Jennifer." She hung up and stared at the keys. 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks he'd been planning this, and she hadn't noticed a damn thing. She checked the bedroom closet. Empty hangers where his clothes used to be. Not all of them, just enough to leave gaps like missing teeth. His laptop was gone. His gym bag. The old leather jacket he'd worn since college. Rachel sat down on the bed, phone in hand, mind racing. She tried his number again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. She opened her laptop, checked their bank accounts. Joint checking showed normal activity. She logged into the savings account. Her password didn't work. "What?" She typed it again. "Account access denied." She called the bank. After 20 minutes of holds and transfers, she finally got someone who could help. "Mrs. Hayes, that account was closed 4 months ago," the representative said. "Closed? By whom?" "Your husband. He withdrew the full balance and closed it. You should have received notification." Rachel thought about the stack of mail Jonathan always handled. The bills, the statements, everything she let him deal with because she was too busy. "How much was in it?" she asked, her voice barely steady. "I'm not at liberty to discuss specific amounts, but the account had a substantial balance." She hung up. Her hands were shaking now. This wasn't a breakdown. This was planned. Methodical. The Jonathan she thought she knew couldn't plan a vacation without her approval. This was someone else entirely. She dialed Brad's number. He knew what to do. Brad always knew what to do. Brad showed up within an hour. He walked in like he owned the place, which had always annoyed me when I still lived there. Now it didn't matter. "What happened?" he asked Rachel, his hand on her shoulder in that familiar way that made her lean into him. "He's gone," she said. "Jonathan. He just left." No, nothing." Brad looked at the keys on the counter, picked up the wedding ring. "Did you two have a fight?" "No. That's the thing. Everything was normal. We were fine." "Rachel," Brad said gently. "Were you really fine?" She bristled. What's that supposed to mean? I mean, when's the last time you two actually talked? About anything real? She couldn't answer that. Couldn't remember the last real conversation they'd had that wasn't about bills or schedules or her telling him what he'd forgotten to do. Brad pulled out his phone. I know a guy. Private investigator. Good at finding people who don't want to be found. You want me to call him? Rachel nodded. Yes. Call him. Meanwhile, 2,000 miles away, I was learning how to rebuild a motorcycle engine. Hank stood over me, occasionally grunting approval or pointing out when I was about to make a mistake. You got good instincts, Hank said. Most people rush it. You take your time. Do it right. Learn that from spreadsheets, I said. Numbers don't lie if you're patient with them. Machines are the same way. Treat them right. They'll treat you right. Unlike people. I looked up at him. Speaking from experience. Divorced twice. Both times she said I love these bikes more than her. I said, at least the bikes don't lie to me. He chuckled. You running from a divorce? Something like that, I said. He nodded, didn't push. That's what I liked about Hank. He understood that some stories didn't need telling. My new phone buzzed in my pocket. I'd given the number to exactly 3 people. Hank, the landlord, and Jake, who'd helped me set up the fake identity. I pulled it out. Text from a number I didn't recognize. Dad, it's Asher. Madison gave me this number. We need to talk. My chest tightened. I'd known this moment would come. Just didn't expect it this soon. I stepped outside into the Arizona heat and dialed. Asher picked up immediately. Dad, yeah, it's me. What the hell is going on? Mom's freaking out. She called me and Madison, saying you disappeared. I didn't disappear, son. I left. That's the same thing. No, I said firmly. Disappearing is what happens when someone takes you. Leaving is a choice. I chose to leave. Silence on the other end. Then why? Because staying was killing me. Asher. Slowly, quietly, but killing me all the same. So you just run? That's your solution? I'm not running from anything. I'm walking towards something better. There's a difference. Mom thinks you had some kind of breakdown. Of course she does. It's easier than admitting she stopped seeing me years ago. Another silence. Longer this time. Are you coming back? Asher asked, his voice softer now. No, but I'm still your father. That doesn't change. Your tuition's paid through graduation. Madison's too. You're both taken care of. We don't care about the money, Dad. I know, but I do. That's what fathers do. They take care of their kids, even from a distance. I could hear him breathing, processing. Where are you? He finally asked. Somewhere I can breathe. That's all you need to know right now. Madison wants to talk to you. Tell her I'll call her soon. I promise. But right now, I need you both to trust me. Can you do that? Long pause. Yeah, I can do that. Good man. I love you, Asher. Love you too, Dad. I hung up and stood there in the sun, feeling the weight of that conversation settle over me. My kids, the only thing I'd regret leaving behind. But they were adults now. They'd understand eventually. They had to. 3 months in, and I'd found my rhythm. Up at 5, coffee watching the desert sunrise, then down to Hank's shop by 6. The work was honest. A bike was broken, or it wasn't. No politics, no games. Business picked up. Word spread about the new guy who didn't BS customers. We went from scraping by to a 2-week waiting list. Then Jay called. Your wife hired a detective, he said without preamble. Guy named Thomas Reed. He's good, and he's asking questions. I'd expected this. Rachel wouldn't just let me disappear. How close is he? I asked. Found a truck sale, traced it to Tucson. He'll check motorcycle shops soon. What do you suggest? Stand your ground. You're Kyle Anderson. Documents check out. Suspicion isn't proof. After Jake hung up, Hank walked over. Trouble. My ex hired someone to find me. Hank nodded. You running? No. I'm staying. Good. He handed me a folder. Been meaning to talk to you. I'm selling a shop. Retiring to Montana with my daughter. Offering it to you first. I opened the folder. The numbers were fair, maybe generous. I don't have this kind of money, Hank. Bank loan with your track record, or we work out payments. I trust you, Kyle. That night, I call Madison. Dad. Hey, Maddie. Mom hired a detective to find you. I know. I'm not hiding. Just living somewhere else. Why like this, though? Because any other way would have been a war. This was cleaner. Silence. Then, I found text messages between Mom and Brad. Going back 2 years. They're not just business partners, are they? My chest tightened. No, sweetheart. They're not. Did you know? I suspected. But even without Brad, I was drowning. Your mother stopped seeing me years ago. I'm sorry, Dad. Don't be sorry for me. Be happy I finally chose myself. That's what I want for you too. Never let anyone make you invisible. I love you, Dad. Love you too, Maddie. The detective found me on Tuesday. I was replacing a clutch when a man in khakis walked in. Former cop, probably. Looking for Kyle Anderson, he said. That's me. He pulled out my wedding photo. This you? I glanced at it. No, don't know him. You sure? You look like Jonathan Hayes. Disappeared 3 months ago. I'm Kyle Anderson. Don't know any Jonathan Hayes. He smiled professionally. Here's the thing. I don't care why you left. I'm just confirming you're alive. That's it. Then report back that Kyle Anderson is alive and well. I could push this. Get the law involved. I stood straight, met his eyes. You could, but I'm not wanted for anything. Just a man living his life. He studied me, then nodded. Fair enough. But your wife won't stop. She's always angry. That's her natural state. He pulled out a card. When she shows up, and she will call me. Might need a witness you're stable. After he left, Hank appeared. That what I think it was? Yeah, he found me. You okay? I'm fine, but my wife might show up. Then she'll find Kyle Anderson, master mechanic. That night, Rachel called. Jonathan. Her voice sharp as broken glass. Wrong number. Don't play games. The detective found you. I know where you are. Then you know I'm not coming back. You can't just walk away from 20 years. Already did. Divorce forms are in the house. Just sign them. You're insane. No, Rachel. I'm finally sane. There's a difference. I want to see you. Face to face. Part of me wanted to refuse. But another part wanted her to see what she'd lost. Fine. Rose's Diner on Highway 10. Thursday at noon. Come alone. I'll be there. She hung up. I sat there and realized I wasn't afraid. For the first time in our marriage, I had the power. Thursday came with heat that made the asphalt shimmer. I arrived at Rose's Diner 30 minutes early. Chose a booth in the back corner with a view of the entrance. Old habit from financial analysis. Always control the variables you can. Rachel walked in at noon exactly. She dressed for battle. Power suit, heels, hair perfect. Every inch the successful professional she'd always told me I wasn't ambitious enough to match. Heads turned as she scanned the room, spotted me, and walked over with that determined stride I knew too well. She slid into the booth across from me without a word, just stared, taking inventory of the changes. The beard, the sun-weathered skin, the calluses on my hands visible on the table. I'd gained muscle from physical work, lost the soft edges of desk life. You look different, she finally said. I am different. You look like a manual laborer. I am a manual laborer. I fix motorcycles. Honest work. She flinched at that. You have a master's degree in finance, Jonathan. You were a senior analyst. And you threw it away to become a grease monkey. I threw away a life that was suffocating me. Big difference. The waitress came over. I ordered coffee and pie. Rachel ordered water with lemon, then changed her mind and ordered wine. At noon. That told me everything about how rattled she was. This is insane, Rachel said after the waitress left. You can't just abandon your entire life. I didn't abandon it. I built a new one. You got the house, the cars, everything you wanted. I took what I needed and left. What you needed. You took our savings, Jonathan. You cleaned out accounts I didn't even know existed. Accounts I filled. Money I earned while you were busy spending it on designer furniture and whatever Brad needed for his latest scheme. Her face went red. Brad is my business partner. Brad is more than that. And we both know it. I found text messages going back 2 years. Rachel. You weren't as careful as you thought. She went pale. You were spying on me. I was paying attention. Something you never did with me. The waitress brought our orders. Rachel gulped half her wine immediately. So what? Rachel said, voice shaking. You found some texts and decided to throw away 20 years of marriage. No, I decided to stop being invisible in my own life. The text just confirmed what I already knew. You checked out of this marriage years ago. I finally had the courage to do the same. We can fix this. Counseling, therapy, whatever you need. I shook my head. There's nothing to fix. You can't repair something that was never really built. We got married too young, wanted different things, and spent 20 years pretending otherwise. I'm done pretending. What about Asher and Madison? You're just abandoning your children. They're adults with paid educations, and a father who finally chose to live. That's not abandonment. That's showing them what self-respect looks like. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time, I thought. I never meant to make you feel invisible. I know. That's the sad part. You didn't mean to. You just did. Because seeing me required effort you weren't willing to give. She reached across the table. I didn't pull away this time, but I didn't squeeze back either. Come home, she said quietly. Please. We can start over. No, Rachel. We can't. Because you be coming home to Jonathan Hayes, and he doesn't exist anymore. I'm Kyle Anderson now, and Kyle has a life he actually wants to live. She pulled her hand back like I'd burned her. You're really not coming back. I'm really not coming back. Sign the divorce papers. Move on with Brad. Be happy. But let me be happy too. She stood abruptly, grabbed her purse. This isn't over, Jonathan. Yes, it is. And my name is Kyle. She walked out, leaving her wine half finished and the check unpaid. I settled both, left a good tip, and drove back to the shop feeling lighter than I had in years. 2 weeks after Rachel's visit, I signed the papers to buy Hank's shop. The bank approved my loan based on the business's improved performance. Hank was thrilled. I was terrified. But it was the good kind of terrified. The kind that comes from building something that's actually yours. You're going to do great things with this place, Hank said as we signed the final documents. You've got the skills and the integrity. That's rare. Learn from the best, I said. Nah, you had it in you all along. Just needed the right environment to let it out. The day after Hank left for Montana, I changed the sign out front. Instead of Hank's motorcycle repair, it now read Anderson Cycle Shop. Seeing my new name, my chosen name, on that sign felt like planting a flag. Business continued growing. I hired an assistant, a young kid named Travis who reminded me of myself at that age. Eager, smart, willing to learn. I taught him everything Hank had taught me, paid him fairly, treated him with respect. The things I'd wanted from Rachel, but never got. Then one Saturday afternoon, both my kids showed up. Asher and Madison walked into the shop together, clearly having coordinated this ambush. I was under a Triumph Bonneville when I heard Madison's voice. Dad! I rolled out from under the bike, wiped my hands, and stood up. They both looked good. Healthy. Madison had cut her hair short. Asher had grown a beard. They'd changed too. Hey guys, I said. This is a surprise. We wanted to see where you've been hiding, Asher said. Not accusatory, just factual. Not hiding. Living. Come on, I'll show you around. I walked them through the shop, explaining the business, introducing them to Travis, showing them the bikes we were working on. They listened, asked questions, and I could see them processing this new version of their father. You seem happy, Madison said finally. Happier than I've ever seen you. I'm happy. For the first time in a long time. Asher walked over to my workbench, picked up a wrench. Mom's not doing well. I know, but that's not my responsibility anymore. She wants you to come back. I'm not coming back, Asher. I made a life here. A good life. Madison touched my arm. We're not here to convince you to go back, Dad. We're here because we wanted to understand. And now I think we do. Yeah, Asher agreed. I found out about Brad. About the texts, the business trips that weren't really business. I get why you left. It wasn't just Brad, I said. It was everything. But I don't want you two feeling like you have to choose sides. We're not choosing sides, Madison said. We're choosing to understand both of you. Mom's hurt and angry, but you're finally alive. Both things can be true. We talked for another hour. About their lives, their studies, their futures. They asked about the shop, about Arizona, about whether I was lonely. I told them the truth. I was alone, but not lonely. There's a difference. Before they left, Asher hugged me tight. I'm proud of you, Dad. That's weird to say to your father, but I am. Madison kissed my cheek. Call us more often, okay? We miss you. I miss you too. Both of you. I watched them drive away and felt a peace I hadn't expected. My kids understood. That was enough. 14 months after I left, Madison called with news that stopped me cold. Dad, Mom's sick. Cancer. Stage 3 ovarian. They found it 3 weeks ago. I stood in my apartment above the shop, phone pressed to my ear, feeling the weight of 20 years crash back in one sentence. How bad? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Bad enough. She needs surgery next week, then 6 months of aggressive chemo. The doctors say her chances are good if she responds to treatment, but it's going to be rough. How's she handling it? Terrified, Dad. Really terrified. And Brad disappeared the second she told him. Literally 20 minutes after she broke the news, he sent her a text saying he needed space. Space. After 2 years of whatever they were doing. That hit different. After everything she'd done, everything she'd said, she was facing the biggest fight of her life, completely alone. She asked about you. Madison continued, her voice soft. Not to come back or anything like that. Just to know if you cared whether she lived or died. I looked out my window at the Arizona desert stretching endless in gold in the afternoon sun. The life I'd built here was good, honest, free. Going back to California, even for a day, felt like stepping into a grave I'd already climbed out of. Give me a day to think about it, I said. I called Jake that evening. He listened without interrupting, then gave it to me straight. You don't owe her anything, John. Not a damn thing. But ask yourself this. 20 years from now, can you live with not going? That question haunted me through a sleepless night. Finally, at dawn, I made my decision. I flew to California 2 days later. Didn't tell Rachel I was coming. Just showed up at her hospital room the afternoon before her surgery. She was sitting up in bed. No makeup, hair pulled back, hospital gown making her look smaller and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. All that armor she'd worn for 20 years was gone, stripped away by fear and illness. Jonathan, she whispered when she saw me. It's Kyle now, I said gently. But yeah, it's me. Tears started running down her face immediately. I didn't think you'd come. After everything I did, everything I said, I pulled a chair close to her bed and sat down. I'm not here because I forgive everything, Rachel. I'm here because despite everything, we spent 20 years together. That counts for something. I'm so scared, she said, her voice breaking. What if the surgery doesn't work? What if the chemo doesn't work? Then you fight harder. You've always been a fighter, Rachel. You just fought the wrong battles for too long. Time to fight for yourself. She nodded, unable to speak through the tears. I'm sorry, she finally managed. For everything. For making you feel invisible. For Brad. For wasting 20 years on someone I stopped really seeing. I'm so sorry, Jonathan. Kyle. I'm sorry. I know you are, I said. I can see that now. Do you forgive me? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. I'm working on it. Honestly, I am. But Rachel, I can't come back. You understand that, right? Kyle Anderson has a life now. Jonathan Hayes is gone. I know, she said, wiping her eyes. I wouldn't want you to come back. You're happier now. I can see it in your eyes, in the way you carry yourself. You're finally free. We talked for 2 more hours. About Asher and Madison, about her treatment plan, about small things that didn't matter and big things that did. When I finally stood to leave, she grabbed my hand. Thank you for coming. It means more than you'll ever know. Get better, Rachel. Not for me. Not for the kids. For you. Fight for yourself. 2 days later, after I'd returned to Arizona, I made a phone call to the hospital billing department. Set up an anonymous payment plan that covered her entire treatment. Surgery, chemotherapy, hospital stays, medication, everything. $80,000 from accounts she'd never known existed. She'd never know it was me. That was fine. I didn't do it for recognition or gratitude. I did it because I could afford to be generous now that I was free, and because some part of me still cared whether she lived or died. Not enough to go back, but enough to help from a distance. 2 years after leaving California, I stood in Anderson's cycle shop watching Travis train a new mechanic on carburetor rebuilds. The business had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. 4 full-time mechanics, a custom fabrication shop in the back, and a waiting list that stretched 3 months out. Clients came from Nevada, New Mexico, even California to have their bikes worked on. Jake had helped me expand into specialty builds. We created one-of-a-kind custom motorcycles that wealthy collectors paid premium prices for. The financial analyst who'd spent 20 years pushing papers was now designing machines that sold for 6 figures. Rachel survived her surgery and completed chemotherapy. Madison sent updates every few weeks. The cancer was in remission. Rachel had sold the big house, moved into a modest condo, and started volunteering at a cancer support group. She was building a different kind of life. Smaller, quieter, maybe more honest than the one she'd had before. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday morning. Papers signed. Marriage officially dissolved. I felt nothing but relief and a strange kind of peace. That same weekend, Both my kids drove out to visit. Asher brought his girlfriend Sophie, a smart engineering student who asked intelligent questions about the bikes. Madison came alone but stayed 3 days, helping out in the shop and sleeping on my couch like old times. We rode motorcycles through the desert, ate at roadside diners, and talked about everything except the painful past. It felt good, clean, real. "You're different, Dad," Asher said on their last evening, as we sat outside watching the sunset. "You smile more. You laugh. You're actually happy." "I'm happy," I said. "For the first time in decades, I'm genuinely happy." "Mom's different too," Madison added, sipping her beer. "Smaller in some ways, but in a good way. Like she finally figured out she doesn't need to be the biggest person in every room to matter." "I'm glad she's doing better," I said. "I mean that." "She knows you paid her medical bills," Asher said quietly. "She figured it out about 3 months ago. Wanted us to tell you thank you. Tell her to stay healthy. That's all the thanks I need." Before they left the next morning, Asher hugged me tight. "I'm proud of you, Dad. Not many people have the guts to choose themselves like you did." "Took me 47 years," I said, "but better late than never." 3 months later, I received a letter. Rachel's handwriting on good stationery. "Kyle, I know you pay my medical bills. The hospital wouldn't confirm it, but I know." That knowledge nearly broke me. Not from sadness, but from finally understanding how good you always were and how blind I was to it. "I'm healthy now, in remission, learning to be alone without being bitter or afraid. You taught me that, even though you didn't mean to. I hope Arizona gave you everything I couldn't. You deserve peace, happiness, and someone who actually sees you. Thank you for saving my life, even after I nearly destroyed yours. Rachel." I read it once, folded it carefully, and put it in a drawer I'd probably never open again. That evening, I climbed onto the roof of my apartment and watched the sunset paint the desert gold and orange. My phone rang. "Jake, how's business?" he asked. "Better than ever. We're actually turning people away now. Good problem to have. Listen, I've got a buddy in Montana selling a garage. Thought you might be interested in expanding." I smiled. "Send me the details. I'll take a look." After we hung up, I sat there watching stars emerge one by one in the darkening sky. Somewhere in California, Rachel was learning to live a smaller, more honest life. Somewhere in the past, Jonathan Hayes existed only as a fading memory. But here, now, in this moment, Kyle Anderson was exactly where he belonged. 20 years of being invisible in my own life. 2 years of finally being seen, even if only by myself. I wouldn't trade these 2 years for those 20. Not for anything in the world. I'd found what I'd been running toward all along. Not a place, not a person, not even a new identity. Just myself. Finally, completely, honestly myself.